Hi, could you tell me about the novelties that you brought to Geneva Watch Day?
With great pleasure. What we've brought here at the Geneva Watch Days is the HM9 horological machine number 9 SV, which is Sapphire Vision. You may remember there was an original HM9 which launched in titanium and then in rose gold, which was totally inspired by the beautiful designs of the 1940s and 50s automobiles, aircraft. We love the idea that at the time, designers, they intuitively made aerodynamic designs. There were no computers, of course, there were no wind tunnels, so they drew cars and aircraft that they thought would go fast, would be aerodynamic. And this gave birth to some of the most beautiful cars and aircraft ever in this world. So the HM9 was very much inspired by that. We nicknamed it Flow because it had these flowing lines all about curves. And right then and there, this was several years ago, we thought, wouldn't it be nice, even though we love those curves, to actually see the movement inside as well? Because the movement inside is very unusual. It's one of the very rare double regulators on the market, so 2 balance wheels, 2 escapements with a differential. And we thought it would be great to have that case in sapphire crystal. Now, at the time, it was impossible because the techniques with sapphire crystal were not advanced enough. But a few years later, one of those very talented friends we worked with said, well, we might pull it off. We might be able to make this very unusual case with all its curves and so on in sapphire crystal. Sapphire crystal, when you make a flat shape or a round shape, it's relatively easy nowadays. But when you do a lot of curves and irregular curves, it becomes a nightmare. So they pulled it off, and that's what has allowed us to make these HM9 SVs, which now allow you to see the 2 balance wheels and all the gear train and the system underneath and so on, how the conical gears move up to the vertical time display in full view. That's the story of the HM9. We have 2 editions here at the Watch Days, one in yellow gold with a green movement, and the other one in white gold with a blue movement.
It's like a real flying machine.
It's a flying machine, which was the inspiration, you're absolutely right, with a twist, nonetheless. When we first put together these sapphire crystal cases, someone in the team, or a collector, I forget, said, it looks a bit like a submarine now because of all its transparency. One of those exploratory vessels that would go underwater.
And on the back case you have like the wheels.
Exactly. We have now these 2 propellers that differentiate it from the other HM9s. So yeah, maybe it's an underwater machine.
Okay, cool. But you have another timepiece that you presented today, actually. It's an only piece. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
The Only Watch piece, and unfortunately we don't have it physically here because it has left for the Only Watch World Tour. But yes, another collaboration with our very good friends at Moser, H. Moser and NC. We've been collaborating with Moser for many, many years for our balance wheels, in fact, on the Legacy machine range, for example. We did a great collaboration back in 2020, a double collaboration where we reinterpreted each of our pieces. And we thought, wouldn't it be nice to do something for Only Watch? So that project started a few years ago. And what we've done is a streamliner Pandamonium. So you get a lot of typical Moser elements, of course. That's how a good collab should be. It should be balanced. So on the Moser side, you have a streamliner case, beautiful 42.5 millimeter stainless steel case. The typical fumé dial of Moser in a beautiful blue. You have the very minimalistic dial, no logos, no indices. And then on the MB&F side, we bring in our flying balance wheel, which, by the way, was very difficult to integrate in the movement. It's a minute repeater, not planned for a flying balance wheel. So that's the MB&F element, the dome, and our Panda, the Pandamonium. Panda we've been playing around with at Only Watch for quite some years now. Back in 2011, I believe, was the first one. The flying Panda on an HM4. Then 2 years ago, we did another one on the HM10 Bulldog, which became the HM10 Panda. And now for the 3rd time.
Who came up with the idea of the name?
Pandamonium? Good question. It's funny, people ask us these questions and we never know because it's a team effort. Honestly, we brainstorm. I think the Panda itself, how we integrate it, because he's a DJ this time, was the idea of Arnaud, who's a big fan of pandas in the team. But the name, I don't even remember. Could have been the copywriter we worked with on the press release. Anyway, I forget. But yeah, this time the Panda is mixing. He's a DJ, which makes total sense for a minute repeater. It's all about sound. So he's tiny this time. He's 5 millimeters high, 5.5 millimeters, hand created, engraved, painted. You need a loop, obviously, to really admire the full thing. But he's there. He's mixing.
And what does it mix? Like, what's the music?
The music is a minute repeater. So it obviously, as you trigger the minute repeater, it will mix the time, meaning the hours, the minutes, first with the quarter hours and then the minutes. So that's a traditional minute repeater. But of course, the whole idea of the Panda is also a symbol, right, of childhood, of the children who unfortunately suffer of this terrible disease that Only Watch has been fighting for so many years, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's a symbol of, the children and how they can maybe escape their condition through music this time. That's the idea.
Celebration of life.
Celebration of hope and life, and yes, fighting this disease.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.